All right, and we're going to fill in here. We've got man on the ladder, dangerously posed, is the cameraman. So we want to get as many people around this center line right here. Don't be shy. Make friends. Stand next to a friend. Brendan. Ooh.
Concentration of weight there.
Yeah. So come in closer this way. So I'm at the edge of the frame right here. Okay, so if you're on this side of the platform, so bunch together, a couple rows. Make friends. Yeah. All right, so if you're on that side, we need people to scoot over more. Kind of pull together, center frame. Yeah, so. Stage capacity? Okay.
Hello?
Yeah.
Hello?
Okay. What do you think, Stan?
What's that? Get in there.
Did I miss the drop?
Take a photo. Good. Good.
Hurry up if you want to be on the photo. You want to stand?
One, two, three, smile. Gonna have to stitch the photos together.
Where were these?
Whose bag is this here? Okay.
No, go stay.
So, everybody, sorry. If we could have you guys take a seat, we'll be starting the launch in just a couple minutes, preferably closer to the stage. Yeah. Hey. So we're going to do a panel. Yeah. So we're going to. So I'm live, so I'm joining it.
That's fine. Okay, let's go.
You got the clicker? Yep. Hit it.
Where's the Ronnie?
All right.
Where is the
Thank you, everyone. Welcome to the CGIAR platform for Big Data and Agriculture official launch. My name is Brendan Moroso, and I am currently the interim leader for this platform. And I have to tell you that I am so excited to be here today. This is a day that we have been working for and planning for and looking forward to for quite a while. Before we get into the launch, though, I think we need to all take a moment and do a big round of applause for our organizers of this event. Yeah, let's hear it. They have been working countless hours and thousands of emails to make this all come together, so we're really very grateful to them. And to you guys for being here. Good evening from Hyderabad, or for those of you who are more jet lagged from the 30 hours of flight, maybe good morning, yeah, in the back there. Good evening for some others. So, I'm just really excited today. We have this huge, super cool presentation for you. I know you're going to love it, and I know that you're going to tweet about it. And I know that you're going to want to go to use our hashtag up there. We're not going to be taking any questions from the floor, either during or after, but we're going to be following up on this Twitter feed, so if you want to see your tweets up there, and we'll be back at home compiling them, looking at them, filtering through. So, really excited about that, to see what sort of input and insights you guys all have. In just a moment, I'm going to call on stage the sort of inspirational figure who launched this idea, the Big Data platform within the CG system. A guy who's really got very long hair. That's what I'll say about him, for those who don't know him. And Andy Jarvis, he is the Research Area Director at CIAT, which is the International Center for Tropical Agriculture, and he is also one of the two co-pioneers of this Big Data platform. So, if I could get a round of applause for Andy Jarvis.
Okay, what an introduction there. Okay, so we know that we're between you and the drinks reception, so we're going to be very respectful of that. And we want to make this as fun and interactive as possible. We're going to be listening to everything you're saying up there. We also want to hear your views. So we're going to cue the first survey. This is going to be a little run through. We're going to do this 3 times during this launch. And this is your chance to kind of talk to us. So cue the Menti. So get your phones out. This is a practice run, right? We're going to see how ICT focused you really are. So go to menti.com on your phones. Use the code 421699 and start voting for. When do you think the vast majority of smallholders, farmers, will have smartphones and specialized ICT tools for farming at their fingertips? So, do you think it'll be by the end of this launch? Will it be in 3 years' time? Will it be in 10 years' time? Will it be never? So send us your opinions. Is it going? Is it working? Here we go. You're a bit slow for ICT experts. Here we go. Oh, we're getting good numbers here. 32, 34. Who said never? Was that our team? Tarani, come on. All right. 5 of us by the end of this launch. Wow. That's real blind faith. Okay, so we got 72. This is great. We got good numbers. So the kind of somewhere between 3 and 10 years. Maybe if we put 5, that would have been the winner. So good. There's hope. I think that gives us really a mission. This is what we got to do. We've got to achieve this within 3 to 10 years. So great. That'll keep loading. And then hold your phones, because a little bit later you're going to get another chance. So back to the presentation. So what I want to show you is just go through what this platform is about. So give you a little insight into what we're thinking. We're launching today. It's a 6-year program. We have already a number of donors backing this. It's part of the CGIAR portfolio going into phase 2, which is a 6-year round from 2017 to 2022. And so here, I'm going to kind of go through it and the way we're attacking this in numbers, big and small. So it's big data, but you can have small data as well. That's just as important. So you all speak binary, right? Does anyone know what that says? So it actually says big data in agriculture. It's a very long-winded language. But don't worry, I won't be speaking any more binary. So, first of all, we're platform by name, but we're really an innovation hub by nature. So the platform name, everyone suddenly thinks, oh, it's a website where we're going to have lots of data. No, it's an innovation hub. It's about creating a new space for innovation in the area of agriculture and big data and in ICTs. And we think our kind of tagline for this launch really is that it's right for disruption. I think there are huge opportunities. There's untapped potential in the agricultural sector for these kinds of approaches, using big data, using ICTs for agricultural development, and the timing is perfect. So it's really about an innovation hub. It's not a platform per se. It's not a website with loads of data on agriculture, but that's one part of it. So this conference is about the SDGs, and so SDG number 2 is about zero hunger. And so this is a bold, ambitious target to reach zero hunger during the period of the SDGs. And we've got a lot of work to do. You have, right now, 795 million people going hungry. And if we look forward to 2050, we need 50 to 70% more food just to stay where we are. So we have huge challenges in the agricultural sector. We have a huge amount of hunger still in the world. We have a huge growing demand for food. And frankly, it's still open. The debate is still open how we are going to achieve this globally. One of the drivers of that is population change. So we're here in India, the second most populous country in the world. Projections are that by 2050, it'll be the most populous country in the world, moving from 1.05 billion to 1.7 billion. So this population change, you look at Africa, it's equally impressive, the increase in numbers, 3-fold increases in population by 2050. It's a huge driver. So we have hunger, we have need for more food, we have a hugely dynamic, changing population, increasing population, and we have different consumption patterns. Consumption is changing. So there's a lot of change in the world. and huge challenges to address it. Now, enter the farmer. So there are 570 million farmers across the globe. It's a lot of farmers, and it's a lot of nodes, and each farm is unique. Each farm is individual, it's unique, it's social, economic, its biophysical characteristics are absolutely unique. And the farmers are experimenting, doing amazing things. And when you look at the demography of that, 72% of those 570 million farmers are smallholders. They have less than 1 hectare. So that's a huge amount of very small enterprises who are innovating. And if you look at the numbers, those smallholders with 1 to 2 hectares are also producing 70% of global food supply. And so it's not just kind of smallholders with very little imprint on the global food system. Smallholder farming is the vast majority of the global food system, essentially. So we have huge numbers in the agricultural sector, and we call this untapped potential. Agriculture is so badly digitalized. It's so behind. This was a report that came out recently by McKinsey in the US. And the US is kind of where precision farming, where agriculture is kind of most, data-driven agriculture is most developed, highly mechanized, all sorts of amazing applications like Climate Corp using information going to farmers. And it's still the 23rd out of 23 sectors in terms of digitalization. So you move to another country, developing country, and you'll see agriculture hugely important in terms of GDP, but in terms of digitalization, probably lagging behind, just like in the US. So there's huge potential. It needs digitalization. There's a massive untapped potential. And so every day, these are the numbers that you can see. You see all the time kind of on the internet. 2.5 quintillion bytes of data generated each day. Huge volumes of that. And I would say there's a huge amount of data being generated by the 570 million farms across the world as well. But it's a huge amount. But really what we find in agriculture is we have a pretty poor data ecosystem. It's not visible, it's not very accessible. You have a revolution going on right now in satellite information. So we have Digital Globe just over there, the Planet Labs. There's incredible innovation going on around the satellite space. There's over 2,000 satellites currently in orbit, and that number has probably changed since I've put this slide up. And so there's a revolution in this information. It's getting better, and it's getting more relevant for agriculture as well. So we have a revolution in terms of data on the ground. We have a revolution in data coming from above. We have huge opportunities there. And we have 6 billion people, and everyone in this conference, I'm sure, has seen this 1 billion times, but 6 billion people have mobile phones, and that's more than they have access to toilets. So that's, again, of those 6 billion people, essentially, huge portion is, again, farmers, these 570 million farms. The vast majority of farmers now have access to mobile phones, and not just mobile phones, but what I've found over the years is I used to go with my nice phone and take photos when I was in the field. Now what happens is generally all the farmers have their smartphones out taking photos of me. And so this is a real change that has been visible over the last three or 4 years. So what we want to do is solve agricultural development problems faster, better, and at greater scale. So how can we tap the potential of data for smallholder farmers to generate agricultural growth, to increase the speed of it? How can we use research and development to develop the kind of insights, the methods, the approaches that spearhead this? So that's what we're about. We're organized in 3 modules. So we have 3 kind of areas of work. First of all, organize. We've got to get our house in order. We've got to be organized with our data. So this is just one fact that we have. Every year, the CGIR, so this is the 15 centers, ICRISAT being one, CIAT, IFPRI as the leaders of this being others, and another 12. Between us, these 15 centers, we're surveying 180,000 farmers every year. That's a huge wealth of data. It's a huge amount of information that's very relevant to better design development programming, to understand the changes going on. The problem is, it's in thousands of different surveys across different countries by different institutions. So what we're looking to do with this platform is pull all of this together, make it make sense. And so we use the concept of fair. All data that is being generated by the CGIAR and by our partners, what we want to ensure is that it is fair. So that's findable, accessible, interoperable, and reusable. So that this data is not just one data point used for one purpose, but it's reused, it's transformed into something that can solve multiple problems. So we want to make all CGIAR data fair and enable partners and support partners to make that data available. So we want to develop the protocols for sharing this information, making it interoperable through ontologies and things like that. And one of the kind of aims is, if you look in the biomedical field, it's incredibly advanced. The flow of data, the sharing of data, the interoperability of data sets. So we want to create kind of a harvester that's not going to be the platform of all platforms. It's just going to connect, to be a connector. So look at the different data streams coming in and make it available. So you search for something, you can see everything that's been done, first across the CGIAR, but then we want to go further and across our partners. So that's kickstarting a data ecosystem in agriculture. So just having this data being collected more systematically, shared more systematically, and more available. Second area of work is convene. So it would be completely arrogant to think that we're alone, we're going to fix all of these problems, we're going to revolutionize data in agriculture. We're just a tiny little player in this. So convene is about bringing new partnerships to the table. So this is about bringing the agricultural experts together with the tech sector and the real whiz kids and the data geeks together to do great things, magical things that we can't even dream of right now. So we have, within this platform, 15 CGIAR centers participating, 12 CGIAR programs. These are the kind of cross-cutting programs that work across the CGIAR. And then we have 48 external partners and counting. So this is a broad, very broad partnership. Just looking at the CGIAR, we cover 78 countries worldwide. So we have action, you can't see the map so well, but we have action in all these points across the globe, working in agricultural development. And all of those points are producing data that is hugely relevant, hugely valuable. So this is the kind of partnership we've grown. That's a lot of logos. I don't know whether we beat the logos in the back here. But huge number of partners, from academia through to private sector, some of the big players in the tech sector, through to small startups on the ground in farmers' fields providing services. So a very broad partnership, and what we want to do is create through this partnership new spaces for collaboration. So it's about building and leveraging this partnership. So we want to improve access to high-end analytics, storage, and processing power for the agricultural kind of research for development community. We want to generate new data products. So this is one option for you. This is one opportunity for you to get on the screen here and feed back to us. So what is the data set, the data product that you've always dreamed of, that you're constantly frustrated that it doesn't exist? Tweet us what it is. Dream. Tell us what it is you want. And so we'll look for means of producing that. So it could be a global map of agricultural fields, field boundaries. It's feasible now. Digital Globe have methods for doing this with their imagery. So dream and tell us up here. I don't know if we're getting anything yet. It'll start coming up there, and we'll come back to this in the panel. We also have under convene these communities of practice around key topics. So geospatial solutions, we have socioeconomic data and analysis, we have data-driven agricultural advisories, ontologies, and crop modeling. These are designed to be areas where we can pool together expertise globally and do things better, differently with these communities of practice. So bring the partners together around these kinds of topics and discuss what is the cutting edge, what needs to change, where do we need to go to improve the status quo on these things. The third area of work and final one is inspire. So we've organized our data, we've convened, and leveraged an impressive partnership. And then we hit the ground running with Inspire. So Inspire is about solving problems. One of the problems, 90% of all crop losses are due to weather, is a statistic that's out there. And 25% of that loss could be avoided by weather prediction modeling and precision. So this is a role for information. Information, if you tot up the numbers of that, that's billions of dollars of lost production because of weather. And that weather is, to a certain extent, predictable. It's manageable. So there's an opportunity. This is from information from the Gates Foundation that I just actually saw this morning. This is a kind of preliminary analysis of the return of investment on rural advisory services that are ICT enabled. And so we have here things like some pretty impressive numbers, 50% greater adoption rates, 30 to 40% increase in yields, 10 times cost savings for public systems. So this is the kind of thing we're interested in. How do we design these ICT-enabled rural advisory systems? How do we do that right? And so we want to use the Inspire area of work to test out options, learn systematically from it. And we've got one great example in 2015, $1.3 million that a specific area of farmers farming rice in Colombia saved. And it was down to one simple piece of data. It was one simple advice that went down the chain through extension to say, if you plant, your crops will likely fail. And it was because of a seasonal forecast, it was because of an extension system listening to data, analyzing that data, and crop models saying that the likelihood of a crop failure was very high. And so some farmers heeded that advice, they didn't plant, and the estimated this is just for one small area, the estimated savings was $1.3 million of inputs, of labor that was saved because the farmers just decided not to plant. And sure enough, neighbors who did generally lost their crops. So the value of information in the agricultural sector, especially about climate and weather, is huge. So this is about hitting the ground running. And so we've got these $100,000 prizes for novel solutions to intractable problems. So we're interested in hearing what are the problems, what are the development problems that are perfect for using these data-driven big data analyses to try and solve them in different ways. So it's about using the organized data, using the partnership, and having a little bit of prize money to go around innovation and develop these new solutions. So we have 12 of these prizes that we'll be announcing over the next few years. And then we have scale-out funding for those successful projects, bringing it to scale beyond kind of proof of concept into a broader scale to get a little bit more impact with that innovation, and bring in the partnerships for a sustained kind of delivery of that service. And what we want to do is learn. We're a learning knowledge organization. We want to synthesize the lessons, learn from those pilots, and we want to do impact assessment to understand what is the role of big data, what's the value of big data approaches in agriculture for delivery of the SDGs. So that's the Inspire topic. And so you here have a great opportunity now. The second piece of audience participation, you get to vote. So we have four broad topics here, kind of problem areas where we think that big data is potentially useful. And we want to hear from you, which of these would you put your $100,000 on? And so this will be then announced as one of the prizes. So we'll put out a call for people to pitch ideas about how they're going to solve this. So we've got 4 ideas up there. Which of these topics do you think are ripe for disruption with a big data and ICT-based approach? Diagnosing crop, fish, and livestock pest and disease remotely. So there's some fantastic examples out there about using sensors and crowdsourcing to understand these dynamics. There's one. Real-time mapping and monitoring of food system dynamics. Food systems are incredibly complex. So many actors, so many things moving at any one time. Perfect for a big data kind of analysis to understand those dynamics. Using big data to drive digital advisory systems. So this is going back to that example from Gates. How can we inject data and information and ICT systems into extension, private or public? And then understanding and shaping food demand for healthy food and diets using big data and analytics. This is on the consumer side, understanding sustainability in supply chains, where products are coming from, what significance of these, what's its role, what is that food or that product in terms of diet providing. So this is looking at the nutrition piece on the consumer side. So these are four things. Go in there. It should be open, Dorani. Is it on? Do you see it on your phones? Come on. Yeah? It's going? Is it working? Yeah? Yeah. Okay. So we're not going to do that live because that might skew your thinking. So start voting. And in the panel discussion, we're going to come back to that in about 10, 15 minutes and see what the results are looking like. Okay, so that's it. Those are the three areas of work. This is our vision. We're just starting. We have a beautiful website there. We have the Twitter feed going with Big Data and Ag. We want to hear your thoughts on this. And that's the end of the show for me. We're going to go back to Brendan and into the panel. Thanks a lot.
All right. Thank you so much, Andy. Let's get a warmer round of applause than that. Yeah. Woo! All right. I know it's the end of the day. We're tired. But I just have to marvel at how interconnected we are these days. I know he's sort of talking about all of these big numbers, but it's also about small stories. I was a Peace Corps volunteer in Aitatab, Morocco, which is a small village of 4,000 people at the end of a dusty dirt road. And I'm actually originally from San Francisco. And then when I went home after the end of my 2.5 years of service, I was surprised to find that I'd had better cell phone connectivity in the mountains of Morocco than I did in San Francisco because of the hills and city ordinances and things about antenna towers. So the ability to get large data sets and get them to really remote regions is super doable these days. So it's really amazing. So yeah, fantastic presentation, Andy. So as he mentioned, this platform's getting going, but we've also been able to, in our startup phase, we've really been blessed by having a lot of excellent, active, involved partners. And so we have a couple videos for you guys from those partners that we're going to show now. So, Durrani, hit it.
And I lead the U.S. government's Global Hunger and Food Security Initiative. Over the last decade, the global community has done a lot to roll back extreme hunger and poverty through investments in agriculture, and data has played a central role in that effort. Good data helps enable smarter decision-making, helps further precision agriculture, and also enable farmers to have access to secure finance. So to be more effective and efficient in the future, we need good data. I want to congratulate and commend the CJAR for doing this and taking steps to make its data available. And this effort is going to provide an important tool for the U.S. government, the private sector, scientific and academic community as we work together to roll back hunger and poverty. Hi, I'm Beth Dunford.
All right, so that was Beth Dunford of the Feed the Future initiative with USAID, one of the supporting partners of this platform. We're going to have another supporting partner. We're going to jump to a panel really quickly shortly here, but just quickly by a show of hands, who's already voted on that Mentimeter for what they think one of those areas ripe for destruction are? Okay, so more than half already. Fantastic. That's awesome. And I know that we have viewers at home who are following this live stream who are also voting. So thank you, USAID, for your support. And now let's have the next video.
I'm Robin Lucci, Global Research Industry Lead for Consumer Products and Agriculture at IBM Research. Big data has the potential to spark new innovations
these things and these issues that we've brought up here. So if I could get my panelists to come on up on stage. We have, as you've already met, Andy Jarvis of the Big Data Platform who's going to be talking. We also have Jawu Ku of IFPRI, one of those 15 research centers based in Washington, D.C., who's the co-pioneer, and he leads the COP, the Community of Practice on Geospatial Data. And we're also joined by Christian Mayers of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, who is going to talk to you a little bit about some of the very cool things that are happening just right here at this conference that they're talking about. And finally, we have Kate Wilson of Dial, who is the CEO and who is our sort of expert window into the sort of telecommunications and the last mile aspect of these things. So, big round of applause for our panelists. Thank you. All right, I'm going to join you guys over here. So, I mean, our first question really is sort of, but we'll see if he can convince me, is he said that in his mind, in 10 years' time, more than the plow, more than the hoe, more than anything, the most important tool in the smallholder farmer toolkit is going to be the mobile phone, the smartphone. And so, Andy, I was wondering if you could tell me and everybody else here what you mean by that.
Yeah, it's a good line, right?
Yeah.
So I said it once in the office and he overheard, and ever since has remembered it. I mean, I think it actually goes back to something that Rob Bertram from USAID, I heard him say a number of times. There's nothing dignified. It's very romantic, the photo of the farmer with the hoe in the field, working the land. It's not a dignified existence. If anyone has tried using a hoe in a farm field for a whole day, you'll realize it's not fun. It's hard work. You know, I think what we have to do is figure out ways that kind of mobile phones can make farming easier, and so reduce the costs, reduce the labor, the struggle of labor in producing food. So it's in jest. You still need to actually touch the field to do things, but in the future, I mean, you've got to see smallholder farming mechanizing. You've got to see it using all the tools available that a farmer in Iowa right now has. You know, and you don't really see many farmers in Iowa with hoes anymore, right? That has to be the vision, the future that we move towards. And I think mobile phones will help farmers reduce uncertainty, risk, do all sorts of things to make farming easier and less risky for them.
Fantastic. So, any of our panelists, Kate, Christian, does that inspire any thoughts that you want to share? Or? No? All right. So, moving along, I'm Kate from Dial. You know, we're here at the ICT for D conference and sort of talking about some of these sort of ICT for D interventions, and it segues nicely to our sort of Inspire challenges. You know, I was sort of wondering, what are some of the biggest hurdles that you see to a new idea that it needs to sort of jump to become mainstream? And where can sort of telecommunications and the private sector play a role in these kind of interventions?
So I'll start first with the disclaimer that I am definitely not an agricultural expert, so I will comment more on sort of experiences seeing some of the other areas of ICT for D, and how, to me, to Andy's point, technology is simply a tool that helps you enable very specific use cases. And so I look at a platform or data's power to transform how a person does something, delivers a service, delivers a good. And I think about those as kind of being the key enabling factors. We look at sort of what are some of the barriers that are affecting our entire sector, be it for-profit or nonprofit, to deliver services. I think it comes down to a few things. First and foremost, which we all recognize, is how many people actually today can physically get access. So there have been tremendous efforts led by organizations such as Global Connect, by donors, by NetHope, that have helped extend access around the world, GSMA, many others, too many to count. We must continue to increase that push on access, all of us, because if we simply can't reach a consumer and they can't get connected, this doesn't help anyone. The second place, though, is that the access that is available has to become more affordable. And so, organizations have been publishing for some period of time, what's actually the right affordability index. And I think the UN and many others are starting to push quite a bit, including the Broadband Commission, on how they can actually bring affordability down. And I think that's another critical area. Something that Dial focuses on a lot specifically, and I think it speaks to sort of the platform and some of the Inspire challenges, is sort of the utility actually of what is out there. So there's a number of applications that still seek a home. Now that's not uncommon in technology, but since many of these are subsidized, the lack of utility to the end user in this space and not weeding out applications that aren't actually effective earlier and treating everything as a success actually can become problematic. We need to sort of ruthlessly prioritize around which applications are actually useful and used by the consumer. And that goes, though, to you have to balance that with the trick that consumer actually has to be aware. And to one of the speakers this morning, like, what's our efforts around skills-based training? Cyan, I think, was doing in their platform, was talking quite a bit about how they were actually trying to train thousands of people to become more familiar with technology. For those of us who are often creating technology, who have been familiar with it for the last 15 to 20 years, this has been a long journey for us. We're expecting people to transform in a year or two or less. And so we have to think about what we're all doing within our programs to transform that. And last and certainly not least is sort of, I feel like a fully inclusive digital society is one where we have actually created local creators. I think T-Hub, what you're trying to do with Inspire, these are examples of where local creators of content are actually driving forward our sector versus things coming from the West. And all of these things need to be then grounded around who the end consumer is. And then all of us, you had asked about MNOs, I think there's a number of things we could do as MNOs, but I actually would put this on MNOs, on NGO implementers, on multilaterals, as well as on donors, for us all to look at what's actually, who is a person? This person who is using agricultural services is also consuming education services, is also using financial services. And so when we think about big data in agriculture, I think about it as more big data in development, and agricultural is one lens that I need to look at in order to do that. And so I would call on all of us to think, reorienting our approach to ensure that no matter what our business model is, be it for-profit or non-profit, subsidized by a donor or not, that we're putting that user at the center of it. Not just the human-centered design, that's critical, but also actually putting the user in the center and saying, what is their day? What is their customer journey? How do we think about them using these services? And then making sure on the back end, very much to Andy's point, we're actually starting to tie together some of the standards and APIs that allow this information to intersect with one another. And so then privacy, security, and telcos opening up some ability for data to play, but are being conscious of the challenges that face those MNOs is pretty critical. A little long-winded answer, but hopefully helpful.
No, I mean, not at all. That was a fantastic and super interesting answer that sort of builds upon your discussion earlier today on this stage. And it sort of segues nicely into sort of my next question, which is for Jiawoo, which, so frequently big data is seen as a lens for government, and sort of you were talking about it, from the perspective of the sort of what are the needs of the individual users, but sort of I also know that big data can be used to make large level policy decisions in agriculture, both at the national level and the international level, and so sort of what can you tell us from IFPRI and sort of from your perspective you're seeing there?
Yeah, sure. No, this is also very interesting and exciting time. The boundary of agriculture and food production system is increasing and expanding rapidly. We are not just talking about production system and farmers level anymore. We are considering the logistics and energy and infrastructure, all the development sectors together under agri-food system to fully understand where is the bottleneck in the value chain, how we can really improve livelihood of farmers on the downstream. So yeah, the requirement and our need for understanding the food complex system in terms of data is huge, but at the same time, more and more amount of data becoming available and more accessible and kind of interoperable. So we are in very interesting time to pull all this data together and make more intelligent decisions. I just learned yesterday that in India, the mango pulp is taking place of legume crops for dal, so that consumers are actually prefer to use mango pulp so that our legume price is going down and it reaches to a little bit of price shock in the future. So if we can access and if government is closely monitoring like point of sale data from market and keep monitoring consumers kind of preference change and link that, inform farmers about the information and also at the government level trying to manage the value chain supply and demand, that will also help farmers, the income and resilience in terms of production system. And another interesting thing that also happening quite rapidly, and I've been also enjoying seeing the presentation today, is these analytical tools, the power of analytics applied on these big data and large data sets are really tremendous, and that will help government also and multiple levels, and not just at the national level, but the regional government to prioritize different investment options and where to invest on what and how they can choose, how they can set the target, etc. So a lot of this analytics tool can open up insight that were previously not really available for narrow scope. I also learned that India Ministry of Finance announced a very ambitious goal for next 60 years. By 2022, all the India farmers' income to be doubled, and that's a really ambitious goal. And there are multiple kind of across the government, a lot of kind of planning and discussions are going on how we can actually achieve the goal. So there are some research also at IPRI we are doing, and we are seeing that just conventional way of investment in agriculture on staple crops, that's not going to really help achieving India government to make the goal a reality. So I mean, there should be a lot of diversified income generation measures need to be implemented, and a lot of different really careful thinking and planning need to be in place. And again, that's where this kind of analytics tool can come in play and help government prioritize. And I think there's a lot of things happening right now, and a lot of data set opening and becoming publicly accessible. Yeah, it's no more a dream, and a lot of things already happening in Hyderabad. It's really exciting. I think we will see how Hyderabad and this local scene changing for next few years, and I think that will really open our possibilities in the future.
Yeah, no, I think that there's definitely a lot of excitement here. One of the reasons this was held here is because of all that energy and that sort of new initiatives that's going on in this province. So thank you for that answer. And sort of that brings us sort of to our last question of this panel. I know that we are between you guys and beer, so we'll try and go. But sort of Christian, I know that the Gates Foundation is sort of launching its digital agriculture strategy sort of in this time period, and I was just kind of wondering, what are some examples that you can give us of sort of interventions that you see as being adopted and taking off? Where do you see some of those key areas where big data can sort of impact agriculture, and what opportunities sort of do you see for this platform?
Yeah, thanks a lot. We also thought from the Foundation's point of view, it's now the right time to look into digital solutions more strategically. So we have our theory of change, which we call inclusive agricultural transformation. And we believe that this needs to go hand in hand with the digital transformation like in other industries. So we try to come up with figures. What do we get in return if we invest in distinctive areas in the digital solution space in ICT for Ag? And what Andy presented is one result in the agricultural extension advisory service system, where we try to come up with these business case figures. And this is simply hard to get. There's basically no data evidence out there that allow us to draw conclusions and to really define our business case. And it must be even harder for service providers in the digital solution space like you guys to come up with these figures and to make your business case and to develop your go-to-market strategies, define your customer segmentation and the like. So I think what we want to do is we want to change that situation. We want to have better data available. We want to have it easy to share, easy to process and consume beyond the CGI-AR community. And I pretty much like that you have beyond the data scientists and the researchers, other end users in mind for that data. Basically, just to give you an idea what our 5 investment areas are that we believe make a difference. So one of it has already been mentioned. We believe that rural advisory systems need to be digitized to some extent. And some of the aspirational targets we have in mind is to increase smallholder farmer productivity by 30 to 40% by introducing digital solutions that allow better participation of smallholder farmers in the design process, in the product and service development, by giving feedback, peer-to-peer advice, but also be part of the co-creation of content. Secondly, we need to customize and contextualize the advice and the information given to the smallholder farmer. So really, how can we make use of remote sensing technologies in situ monitoring to give locally contextual and advice at the right time? The second investment area we believe could make a big difference is how to transform the productivity increase in increase in income. So ICT-enabled market linkages is certainly a key to allow farmers to make a business out of their farm. And here, of course, it's about better demand-offer matching, utilizing electronic system to track and trace what's going on the ground, utilizing alternative data sources for financial service access. So this is a little bit more difficult and pluralistic than simply providing information and advice, but the return you get would be really beneficial to the smallholder farmers. Third, we believe in the long term that farm management solutions that are more self-service oriented could make a difference. With the smartphone penetration and the affordability of data packages, I think we need to start now experimenting with risky models that are not proven yet, where we give data easy to consume at the hand of to the farmers in the hand of a smartphone application. And then the fourth investment area is basically a very similar idea to the big data platform. How can we make better use of data? How can we collect it easier, make it standardized, aggregate the data, and make it consumable for the CGI-AR community, but beyond that? We have similar policies in place, like the open data policy we believe strongly into. So there are many similarities, and I think the initiative that CGI-AR brings on the table is very promising. Last but not least, the fifth area, and then I'm done, is also to have to utilize our convening power to have sort of a better common understanding in the ICT for Ag sector, common design principles, but also looking into integrated solution. Ultimately, we want to see that we get rid of these silos and fit for one purpose solution, but really have integrated solutions that make that make use of shared data that such a platform could provide.
Fantastic. So thank you so much. I mean, I think we've really pulled out a lot of interesting themes here, from sort of the promise and the possibilities of 10 years from now, and the role of the smartphone to, sort of connecting that with making sure that intelligent decisions are being made by the users, not on behalf of the users, and sort of trying to invest in sort of really pulling in some good outcomes. So, that does it for our panel, but I would like to point out that, while we've been talking here on stage, the Big Data in Ag hashtag has reached over 500,000 people. So talking about the power of networks, like right there, that's one right off the bat. So let's have a big round of applause for our panelists. So, now I'm sure everybody's had a chance, both here and at home, to vote on what they think the most important Inspire challenge that we should do. So let's do it right here and right now. Tonight we're going to announce this Inspire challenge and sort of solicit ideas, solicit teams, and September 18th in Cali, Colombia, at CIAT headquarters, we are going to have our first hashtag Big Data and Ag conference. You are all invited, and we're going to see the results of this Inspire challenge. So can we go to the Mentimeter? So most popular right there. Oh, it was just by sort of a little wedge, and apologies I have to walk over here because my eyes are not that good. So real-time mapping and monitoring of food system dynamics is the winner. And you guys chose it, both here and at home, so that's pretty exciting. So that pretty much does it for us. We're going to pull up one last Mentimeter, which is that we sort of want to know what you guys thought of this presentation, sort of what thoughts it's inspired. So if we could go to the next one. And what we want you to do here is just, once again, get out your phones, go to that page, and tell us 1, 2, or 3 words that you took away from this. We're going to leave this up here so you can do it now, or when you're out at cocktails, you can do it later. But that sort of does it from our team. So I'm going to hand it over right now to ICRISAT and to Dr. David Bergensen, who is going to sort of give a final little talk and sort of, thanks and pass you off to the reception. So once again, thank you guys so much for your time and attention. It has been a pleasure to be up here and sharing our vision with you. Let's give a big round of applause.
Well, good evening, everyone. I know I'm holding you from your beverages, so I won't be long. It's really exciting to have the official launch of the Big Data platform here at the ICT for D, because it really translates innovation to impact. And big data isn't really going to unlock the potential unless we focus on the needs of farmers, recognize the importance of value chain actors, and the power that data can have to drive policy and budget decisions that create an enabling environment for smallholder farmers around the world. I also think big data needs to inform our food system. Our choices in our diet do impact on living within the ecological boundaries of the planet. And I think as we grapple with climate change and water scarcity and think about the burden of obesity and undernutrition, big data can help shape society's views on the role of agriculture, nutrition, and how to empower smallholder farmers to realize their full economic potential. The SDGs are not that far away. And so by 2030, we have some very bold goals, 17 of them. I believe that big data is going to be the driver for us to achieve those goals. And that's really the underlying theme for the ICT for D conference this year, but it's also the theme for the CGIAR, to translate our data into impact in farmers' fields. So enjoy your evening together, talk about what the big data platform should be doing for you and how you can contribute to the big data platform to see a sustainable and prosperous future for all. Thank you.